Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Pointless Exercise Podcast. With me, as always, on off Tuesdays, or whatever it is, it's Oleg and Praz.
Hey,
hello.
Guys had never seen the extensive production value of the Open. You only hear the song; you don't actually see all the visuals that go with
I was gonna
it.
say that's a sweet music video that kind of brings us in there.
I just want to tell you that may have been one of the 12 greatest things I've ever seen.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad. Oops.
All right, list off your top 11, Oleg.
Yeah. Whoa. No. You even snuck in the new Washington Nationals bench coach in there.
I did.
Well, Hank White.
I'm excited for Hank.
Yeah.
He got a new job today.
Might just start rooting for the Nationals.
Is he the interim?
Interim bench
Is it Miguel
coach.
Cairo the interim manager? Does that mean, or did they give Hank the full-time bench job?
The
new whatever manager is.
Yeah.
Whoever the new manager is has to have Hank.
I mean, it'd be pretty silly to not keep Hank once you have him around. I would think.
You would think.
Oh, it's wonderful.
It's funny. You know what? I did notice this when the Cubs were in DC a little bit ago that they have a weird amount of guys from the 2021 Cubs on that team because Trevor Williams is there, Andrew Chafin is there, and now the top two guys on their bench are two former Cubs players as well, Miguel Cairo and Hank White.
You see why they're so good.
Yeah.
Do you think that Trevor Williams is all mad because he's the only one from that trade who didn't make the All-Star team?
This is true, yeah. Javi made it, PCA made it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I mean the Nationals only made one good trade in the last 6 years, whatever it is, that got Mike Rizzo fired.
Yeah.
That resulted in 3 All-Stars because CJ Abrams made it last year, and then James Wood and Mackenzie Gore. Ironically, Juan Soto not an All-Star this year.
That is pretty ironic. But Gore is Abrams did not, and Wood are.
Abrams made it last year.
Yeah.
And obviously Soto's done All-Star a million times, but this year it's those other two going. And that trade, Jed's one good deadline trade.
Yeah.
There's 2 All-Star, the 2 center fielders in the All-Star game are in that trade.
Right.
Check that out.
I mean, I think we know why Javi got voted in, right? It was because the Tigers are having a great year, so there's a lot of Tiger fans going to games, getting excited and going home and going to the library and getting some Wi-Fi and voting. And then Cub fans, obviously, very excited. And when you go to vote, when you look at the American League and there's Javi, of course you're going to vote for Javi.
Yeah, of course.
What are you not going to vote for Javi for? So that's cool. He's having people we had this conversation. I had the conversation with Dave. His underlying numbers are all bad, but his actual numbers are good. And he's a really good, he's a good, useful player to have. He play every position. He plays every position well. He runs the bases well.
Mm-hmm.
But his numbers have kind of stabilized at where you expect Javi. Half, a kind of okay batting average, a terrible on-base average, and he's slugging. And he's helping win games. And he's kind of the shortstop now in Detroit. They basically have just handed that job back to him and said,
they've given up on Trey Sweeney these days.
Well, Trey didn't get any hits.
True.
But I'm sure he could. Who knows? AJ Hinch is a genius, right?
That's what they say.
So he'll figure things out. But
Javi's strikeout percentage is it's only what's the major league average, 22%, 23%?
Sure.
All right. He's at 22%. It's not bad.
No, and especially it's good for him.
Yeah. He was in the 30s. I guess not really. Oh well. I'm talking about my ass.
He's only led the league in strikeouts once. Ever.
Okay.
I would have thought maybe he did it more than that.
It's the year
that
of
was
the trade,
the year
right?
that was the, and he had struck out at a pretty good rate with the Cubs, struck out at a higher rate, I think, with the Mets, but he was also super productive for the Mets, at least after he lost his earring at home plate, which they still haven't found. Maybe Steve Cohen found it. He put it into it's in Juan Soto's signing bonus somewhere.
There you go.
Was he, who was it who flip the bird to the fans? Was it somebody? Is that why they?
It wasn't.
They
flipping
turned
the
on
bird.
Lindor. And...
It was like them giving the thumbs down to the crowd every time they would get a big hit or
Oh
score.
yeah.
And it was.
Yeah,
it
they
was
turned
Javi,
that into their.
Yeah, Javi and Lindor. It was.
Yeah, Javi and Lindor. Yeah, they're buddies. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was. They probably should have. Well, I was going to say the Mets should have kept him, but with what the Tigers paid him. Although it's the Mets who care. Well, the Mets don't care. Steve Cohen couldn't afford Javi Baez.
I was going to say, was it Mets still with Wilpon owning them at the time, or was it Cohen at that point yet? I don't know.
I don't know either. Cohen's got to be on his third year. Yeah, he doesn't have to be, I suppose, but feels like that's right.
I don't know how many years.
Oh well.
I don't know. You're asking me all these things I don't know. What I do know though is because I was interested. I'd heard. I think. Oh, the Cubs don't strike out. Somebody was talking about that. How they don't strike out
this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, they have struck out. They haven't gone the entire season without striking out.
That'd be incredible.
But they don't strike out at a particularly high rate. And then I thought, well, they're also fast. They're speedy.
Yes.
So I wondered, like, well, are they also good at not grounding into double plays? And that just led me to just all their offensive ranks. And they were very impressive.
They are. Yes.
Here I have it.
Yes.
For those of you at home, I've actually written these down. My phone is getting spammed by something. On offense. Yeah, the people are calling. No, you're not supposed to call. You're supposed to watch the live stream. You're not supposed to call me at home. I'm not going to patch you through. This is not Larry King.
Listen, if you call in, we're not letting you hang up and listen. You're staying for the whole show, okay?
Yeah. Punishment for calling is you have to stay for the whole thing.
Runs scored. The Cubs second in the National League. Only the Dodgers have scored more runs.
Yep.
Doubles. They are tied for first. They've hit 158 doubles. Tied with the D-bags. Triples. They're third. Behind the Rockies and the D-bags. That's because of
well, the Rockies have that big ass ball.
The enormous park. And
I think it's
they can't hit it far enough to get over the wall, so they just run.
I think it's impressive for the Cubs that, for the longest time, Wrigley was one of the hardest parks to hit a triple in, and you got to
hit it in the corner.
They're got to hit it basically the right corner.
Pretty much right.
Or you got to hit it and have it just for a second, hang up in the ivy, and then trickle out.
There you go.
The outfielder starts to give up, hold his hands up, then he has to go get the ball.
Yeah, that's how Mark Grace got his cycle.
Home runs. Cubs second in the National League. Only the Dodgers have hit more homers.
Yep.
RBI. RBI.
Yep.
Cubs are second. It's the fucking Dodgers again. Do the Cubs walk a lot? Yes, they do.
Yes, they
Fourth most in the National League. Only the Dodgers, the D-bags, and the Giants have walked more than them.
Yeah.
So now here's the thing. Do they strike out a lot? No. They've struck out the third fewest times in the National League. The Padres and the Nationals have struck out fewer.
Yep.
Oh, another important thing is they're close to the Dodgers. Some of these, they've played 2 fewer games than the Dodgers.
Yes. The Cubs are actually amongst our in games played are in the bottom of the National League. Close to.
I guess that one rain out with Milwaukee kind of throws a wrench in things.
It's rough. Oh, God, it's going to be terrible. They're going to have to wear their uniforms on the plane again. There's some horrible road trip coming up where they're going to fly into D.C. in a hurricane. Pedro Strup's going to blow out his hamstring, and Rizzo's going to get the plane all muddy.
They're just going to fly into D.C. even though they've already played the Nationals this year. They're just going to be rerouted.
Just going back. Just for fun. We just wanted to see the cherry blossoms. Well, it's not this time of year, guys. Oh.
All right, what else you got?
They lead the National League in stolen bases.
Yep.
So how about that? Second in homers, first in doubles, third in triples, first in stolen bases.
Mm-hmm.
I bet they get caught stealing a lot, right?
Mm-mm.
The 8th most times. So right in the middle.
Okay.
But 106 steals. They've only been caught 18 times. and 106 attempts.
You can live with that.
Yeah, I'd say 75% is breaking even, right? 75% is breaking even on stolen bases.
Right. It's
Something
not
like
worth
that,
it if you
right?
are less than that.
Yeah, so don't get caught stealing.
So somebody out there do the math. 106 for 124.
I will
Whatever
not.
that is.
I will not.
It's good.
Yeah. It's like 94%. It's like 99.3%, something like that. It's not, but
Batting average, nobody cares, but they're second behind the Dodgers.
Yep.
257. This I found very ironic. So I think it went up because he walked. Did he walk? Was it Sunday when he and Happ walked 2 or 3 times? But going into
that
Sunday's
feels like
game,
Saturday. But
okay, so I think this might be his current on base average. The Cubs on base average is 4th in the National League. It's 328. So is their leadoff hitter. Is that bad?
Yeah.
Is that bad when your leadoff hitter is the median of your team? Maybe somebody else should be doing that.
Well,
but I don't want him hitting anywhere else because he just gets in the way.
I bet the top 2 are Tucker and Seiya.
I kind of like what Craig does. It's efficient. Ian comes up, he makes an out, he gets out of the way, then the real offense starts.
Yes. He has no possibility of making multiple outs. It's beautiful.
Yeah, he can't hit in double plays because he's batting first.
Right.
Yeah.
On-base average are 4th behind the Dodgers, the Phillies, and the D-bags. They're second in slugging behind the Dodgers, second in OPS. They are good at not getting hit by pitches.
Okay.
Tied for 13th with the Padres 24 times.
Okay.
And here it is. So here they are. This is my whole reason for all this boring statistical nonsense was you've got this team that isn't striking out.
Yes.
Are they hitting into double plays then? They are first in the National League in fewest. Grounding into double plays.
Interesting.
And second place is Milwaukee, and they have hit into 11 more than the Cubs.
Wow.
So they are first by a long ways.
Well, I mean, interesting. You did read the stats.
Because I'm hitting the ball in the air.
Yeah.
And they're kind of fast. They've got enough speedy guys.
I was going to say, with the stolen base stats that you read off there, you would think that a lot of those guys could break some of those up.
Yeah. So to your point, Andy, if I may add on to the statistical analysis.
Please do. Oleg.
Yeah, because this is very exciting. So to your point, they are second in the National League in fly ball percentage behind the Giants. So right on that.
The Giants are good at striking out, though.
They might be. So if I look at K percentage, right, the percentage of times that you strike out in any at-bat, right, the Cubs are second in fewest in lowest strikeout percentage. So the number of strikeouts is maybe a little bit misleading considering they're second. That might be because they don't hit into as many double plays. I don't know. I'm not sure how that works.
But they walk a lot. So the strikeouts per at bat would go up because those are merely plate appearances, not at bats.
Well, I think this is based on plate appearances, not on at bats.
It sounded like I knew what I was talking about.
Okay, fair enough.
Just go along with it.
Good point. I like it. They're actually in the middle of the pack in walk percentage, but that's really, I mean, everyone's between 7 and 9.5%, right? It's not this huge difference. So they're right in the middle in walk percentage. Here's what I find really interesting: they are in the bottom third of the National League in batting average on balls in play, which means you can't really say that they've been lucky to get their hits. They're hitting the shit out of the ball, and they're hitting the ball in the air, and they're hitting home runs, and they're really, really good, which puts them in by WRC plus, so weighted runs created plus, which kind of measures everything. They are second to the Dodgers in the National League, which is really important. And on top of that, they're the second best team according to Fangraphs base runs stat, which is base runs above average. They're on the bases. They're worth about 8.5 extra runs over average.
Which
so
is
they're
why,
even better than you.
Because with this sputtering offense, that's why they need to trade for Key Brian Hayes to play third base.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure that'll be a real upgrade over Matt Shaw at third.
That really is a hedge. I will say this. I know that front offices get a little weird about this stuff because they think they can fix players. So the only way that would work, because I mean, every team has done it. Every team finds the guy the diamond in the rough, and they kind of go out and they kind of fix them a little bit. You can certainly make the argument the Cubs have done that with guys like Brad Keller, right? Like whatever it is, it is. So if there is that chance, okay, because he does have some talent. He has hit before when he was a rookie. He wasn't too bad. Probably maybe in his second year.
He hit for half of the COVID season.
Yeah,
he came up on September 1st.
Okay.
Got a double and a homer against the Cubs, of course, because that's what they do. And he had great stats for that month. And he's only had in all those other years, he's had 1 year where he was league average.
Okay.
He's not. He hasn't hit in the big leagues, really.
Yeah, I haven't looked it up too deeply, but I was kind of puzzled by that because the Cubs' defense is really good anyway. In fact, and that's the other thing that I was going to mention. When you look at the defensive WAR on Fangraphs, they're third in the National League, behind Milwaukee and St. Louis. But that's what I'm saying. Like the Cubs are probably even better. I think that the one and you know I've certainly criticized Judd before, but one thing that he's done really well, and he's done it before. I think he learned it from Theo, especially in 2016, is he's got the right pitchers and the right defense put together. So they're really good up the middle. He's got ground ball pitchers. They're a really good defensive team, and he's got the right pitching to do that. You don't really need to pay for strikeouts or for an exorbitant amount of strikeouts when you've got a good defensive team like they do, and that is he deserves credit for that.
I'm going to give all that credit to Carter Hawkins.
Right.
And then I'm going to encourage the Nationals to reward him by hiring him to be their president of baseball operations.
I like it. Yeah. Like even with Shota, right? Who's I think infamously gives up a lot of fly balls. He gives up a lot of soft contact, and even with him, it's like he's just the right pitcher for that defense, and it's wonderful. You don't have to overpay for strikeouts when you have the right defense. So there is just a little bit of credit for the front office.
Yeah, they just make sure the wind's blowing in when Shota's pitching, and they're set. I did the rankings for pitching. It's not quite as exciting. They're middle of the pack in a lot of them, but they are tied for 9th in complete games with 0.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Seven teams in the National League don't have a complete game. They have, however, thrown 10 shutouts.
Okay,
which is second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Behind the Padres, they're tied.
Right.
With Pittsburgh and St. Louis, they all have 10. They're tied for 11th in saves, even though they have the second most wins, and that's because they tend to win. They've won a lot of games by more than 3 runs.
Absolutely.
They've blown 10 saves, but your team blown save number can get kind of big. They are tied for 13th in that with the Rockies.
I was going to say
Rockies are on the other end. They never get. The Rockies don't blow that many saves because they don't get leads, so they can't blow it.
Right. And I've always hated the blown save stat too, because like so many of them happen in like 6, 7, or 8 innings, and like these really should be blown holds and not blown saves. But I think that gets tacked on.
Are you gonna besmirch the deeply well thought out Jerome Holtzman invented stat?
He is a Chicago writer, so I guess I can't.
Half in the bag at the Billy Goat one night. We should come up with some half-ass stat for when a pitcher comes in and gets the last 3 outs. What about the last? It's just the ambiguous numbers they threw out.
Yeah.
I was going to say
3 runs. 3 runs, or if they. It doesn't matter how many runs it is. They pitch the last 3 innings. Jerome, you're saying if they're up by 20 runs and a guy pitches 3 innings, gets saved? Fuck it, why not?
I mean, hey, at the time it was applicable because that's what a lot of closers were doing. But
so, just a little bit more about pitch. Sorry, I didn't. Do you have more pitching stats?
Yeah, a couple that are good, that are impressive. They have their pitchers have allowed the fewest walks in the National League.
Sure.
Wow.
Okay.
They have the 3rd most strikeouts.
Yep. Yeah. The 3rd most strikeouts?
Yeah.
I never would have thought like the number of strikeouts they would have been high up there. I know like percentage they're not.
I meant it on
that. Yeah, because I think you did that backward because they're 3rd from the bottom in K per 9.
Okay.
It's
got to be 3rd from the bottom because I've got they're behind Colorado and St. Louis.
Yes, exactly. Now that's also like I like to
The White Sox.
I don't know whether it was your point or to my point.
I only did the National League.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
National League. I'll stay with the game here. So what I'm saying is, I'm kidding. That's what's kind of impressive about it, right? They don't strike out a lot of guys. They're actually also giving up some home runs. They're well, I guess not. They're still in the bottom third-ish in home runs per nine. Yeah, but the Dodgers are below them in home runs per nine. So that's not all that big of a deal if you're not walking anybody and you're not giving up base hits, which is what's happening, because they're also fourth in batting average on balls in play from a pitcher standpoint, which kind of points probably to a really good defense.
I'm going to look and see how many.
Especially with the amount of kind of batted balls that they give up. Like having that low a batting average on balls in play seems pretty impressive to me. And a little bit to that point, they are, well, I guess they're in the bottom. They don't give up, I guess the ground ball percentage is kind of low, but whatever. The middle of the pack and home run per fly ball.
It's always fun to go look and see how many pitchers the Dodgers have used.
Yeah.
Oh man.
What is it, like 23?
35.
Holy shit.
But the Cubs have used 27. That's like because they've also had injury. They've shuttled a bunch of guys in and out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that includes John Birdie, the 27.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay,
and of course the great Brooks Kriske, who pitched a third of an inning.
Yeah. Okay.
Michael Fulmer, who showed up for 2 days.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
And
made the mistake of getting guys out and then got DFA'd. I guess we remember everybody else.
Yeah, the pitching is kind of like
Tom Cosgrove. Do you remember the Tom Cosgrove experience?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Do you remember the jam that Gavin Hollowell got out of against the Dodgers at Wrigley? Yeah.
And he immediately got shut down.
So the pitching hasn't been that great. The bullpen, it was very strange watching the Apple TV broadcast, and them talking about how the Cubs bullpen has actually saved them, because you can't help but think back to April. And some of the bad games, especially the Giants game. But it's really interesting that the Cubs bullpen has been really, really good.
Yeah. I think it helped that they came up with an imaginary injury for Eli Morgan in his 12.27 ERA. That didn't hurt. But it was funny. I think what you see is when you have a good manager and you have a genius Tommy Hotovy, I mean, the greatest pitching coach of all time.
Oh, man.
But then you have a bullpen that is when you don't have like guys really struggling, or they've had some injuries, but basically when you've got a full bullpen where your manager can use the guys in the spots that they're best used in.
Yes.
And I think like Eli Morgan is a good example of that. He had such a great year last year with the Guardians. Well, the Guardians had a great bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're Luke, is it Luke? Vogt? Whatever his name is.
Vogt.
Oh,
Stephen. It's not Luke. No, you're thinking Stephen Vogt.
Yeah. I'm thinking of the fat guy who used to play for the Cardinals.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Stephen.
Yeah.
But like that bullpen was really good, and everybody was slotted into their spot, and you could pick matchups for Eli Morgan, guys who he could get out.
Right.
And all of a sudden, when shit starts to go bad, and you've got to throw these guys out against hitters, like, oh God, well, that's when bullpens spiral out of control.
Yeah.
And Craig, for the most part, has been able to use these guys when he wants, when it makes sense. And I think a good example of that was when they rehabilitated Ryan Presley.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just they were pitching him earlier in games. There was a good stretch there where he was pitching usually to the 7th, 8th, and 9th batters.
Sure.
Like Counsell wasn't just finding a low leverage inning for him. He was finding the guy, the ass end of the lineup.
Yeah.
To try to get Presley some outs. We know the most important thing was Ian Happ wrote a scouting report for him.
This is true. Yes.
I'm so glad that we're broadcasting live, because the love in your eyes when you said Ian Happ was
fucking story.
Everyone can see just the disgust for Ian Happ.
They just told that story 10 times. It's like, just who gives a shit?
Right. Oh man.
I think to be fair, I think you're underestimating the amount of downtime that happens in a baseball game for the poor announcers.
Happ actually wrote it in left field. He's out there going, "Who's up?" He's not gonna hit it over here. All right, now let's see.
When
you're behind the count, Ryan, you took technically.
He snuck over to the wall and just like spoke to him through the bullpen. Hey, Ryan, keep it on the ground.
Yeah. Not behind.
No, he was writing it on a. He would write parts of it on a baseball and throw it to bleacher Jeff.
There you go.
And then he would put them together and then give them back. And then every once in a while he'd tape like 100 to it and chuck it to him. He'd buy a round of beers for people in the bleachers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, $100 would buy like 3 beers for people in the bleachers. But you know what I mean.
This is true. Fuck.
Oh man. Yeah, but the pitching's been good enough. I had Ben Brown, I think, kind of skews the stats a little bit. Maybe they've had it's Colin Ray and Matt Boyd have. Matt Boyd
He goes by Matthew.
Matt Boyd. Yeah,
he goes by Matt Boyd.
I looked at his name. It says Matthew, and I thought that I'd say that. Anyway, I think that they sort of saved a little bit of the rotation, all things considered. They certainly need more pitching, but it's a good team. And when you score 10 runs, I'm sure that they lead the league in 10-run games.
They do, because whenever they do it, Marquis puts the number. It's like 16 or something. They're doing it a lot.
If you want, this is where I kind of busted out some of the stats before this.
All
right. Before the show. I went and looked. I mean, I didn't see specifically 10 runs per game, but I did go and look at the number for them where they're undefeated is whenever they score 8+ runs, 22-0. 7+ runs, 29-4. 6+ runs, 34-7. 5+ runs, they're 39-8. When they score exactly 4 runs, that's the first number you get to where they have an under 500 record because they're 4-5 when scoring 4 runs. But 4+ runs, 43-13. So, that makes up for it. They actually have a better record when scoring 3 runs than they do when scoring 4 runs.
Exactly 3 runs.
Yeah,
all right.
Exactly 3 runs. They're 5-3. So 3 or more runs scored for the Cubs. They're 48-16 this year.
Well, they should just do that.
Okay.
Exactly. I mean, hey, their work is cut out
just
for them.
3 runs every time.
They've only allowed 2 so far. That's all they're going to allow.
I do. That is pretty interesting. I wonder what the league average is at each of those milestones, right? Like I'm sure, probably anything what's the league average ERA? Probably 4.5, 5 maybe, right?
I think for this year it's like a shade over 4, like 4.1 or something like that.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting.
Because hitting is way down this year as far as the league average.
Well, sort of. Right? Sort of I mean, they're certainly scoring fewer runs than they did. The home runs are a little bit depressed, right? Because they're talking about the ball being kind of dead and stuff. Right. But there's
4.06 is league average ERA.
4.06. Okay. All right. Well, that's a lot lower than I thought it was. All right. Fair enough. So I wonder what the record is. The record's probably 500. Anybody scoring 4 runs, it's probably pretty close to 500 or a little bit below if the ERA is 4.6. Right. The average ERA. So that's not bad. All things considered, the Cubs are they just have more games where they score a ton of runs, and so therefore they win. Yeah. That might have been the most profound thing I've ever said. When you score a ton of runs, you win.
Just
funny how that works.
The stats I unearthed yesterday were that
your thing about the Tigers.
Yes, that they have had a lead in every single game that they've won.
What a concept!
I think that's what that guy was saying, but yeah.
No, he wasn't. But I was just being a smartass. And I also said because he had a real stat. And I was like, oh, I just wanted to sound like Mr. Smart Guy. Yes. I also said they've also trailed in every one of their losses. Huh?
Right.
Yeah, I don't remember what his stat was. That was immaterial to me. I just thought it was funny. And he's probably like, look at this asshole. Jesus.
Right.
Our team, I don't know what is the blue sky version of retweet?
I think it's just reposting is
what
they say on
there.
Yeah.
So boring. They got to do something.
Yeah.
That's funny stuff, man. That's good.
That's right. I'm still waiting for any minute now. The Athletic's going to call and ask me to come back and cover the Bears.
Oh, yeah. I can't believe they haven't done it already. Maybe they're paying you without telling you.
And I should check my account. How did they pay me? I think it had to be automatic. They didn't send me checks. God, so long ago. I don't remember.
Like all of a sudden you
it was just John Greenberg promising you in the future that he would come on the podcast.
Yeah,
that's right. He's done it several times. It's been a while. I should have John back on.
It's like the Seinfeld episode when Jerry goes to cash all of his grandma's birthday checks. So you just have a pile of athletic checks. You go to cash all that. Books.
Why are all these checks for $12?
Right.
Well, because they pay me once a month. That's why.
It's pretty funny. I had my 401k place, like my employer, like I took out a 401k loan. Doesn't matter why, I paid it all back right away. But my employer kept sending the payments to them, and they kept sending me the refunds in a check. And so I got this letter from them, like, "Hey, you haven't cashed one of these checks. What's going on?" So I called them, like, "Oh, there's a chance that we've already sent it to the Illinois, like, property claims or whatever."
God, yeah.
Like, get the hell out of here! You kids, like 6 months ago. Like, what the fuck?
My sister found out that she did the search, and she found out that my mom has some unclaimed property. It's like $4,000, so it's
nice.
well worth it to get the money.
Oh wow,
back.
Yeah.
But the process to get it back has been a royal pain in the ass.
Oh, I can imagine.
And to the point where my mom has kind of like washed her hands of it, and she's like, Marion, if you can figure it out, go get them. And then the other day she told her, if you can get it, keep it. You've done $4,000 worth of work. I'm like, damn, nice. I should have helped.
Yeah. Holy cow! I could use $1,000.
I was just sitting around making fun of her. I could have got a cut of that. I'm gonna call Michael Fredericks real fast and see if I still get his emails once a month. And
Wait, is that
treasurer?
Oh, okay.
He sends me. I get an email. I don't know why.
Wait, the Giannoulis,
Secretary
is the Secretary of State. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I refuse. Jesse White is still my Secretary of State.
He's my Secretary of State. Damn it!
I've
never gone to see the Alexi Giannoulis tumblers.
Yeah,
this is true.
That's fun, man. When I was a kid, I used to get excited when that would happen. Speaking of, did you hear what happened to that? Is it Red Panda? What was her name?
Yeah, she fell
down the wrist. The NBA halftime shows. Yeah. Jeez.
Went off on a wheelchair.
Yeah, something like that, right? Oh.
So it kind of sounds like you hit a cub doctor there to check her out. I fell on my wrist. I think I broke it. We better get the wheelchair. What? It's my arm.
Oh man.
Oh man. Why do I have to put on a gown to get an X-ray of my wrist?
Do you remember I think it was Mother's Day? It was 2003. I know that. Cubs were playing the Cardinals, and it was torrential downpour. They should not have been playing. And Eli Marrero was playing right field for the Cardinals. And he was chasing a fly ball, and he fell down and hurt himself. And they went out, and he couldn't they were going to have to help him off the field. And the Cubs took out it wasn't a stretcher and it wasn't a wheelchair. It was like a combination of the two. It was the dumbest looking thing ever. And Eli had to sit. He looked like he was sitting on it, not in it. And he's just kind of and they're just like pushing him through the water on the way back to the dugout.
It's like the chairs at the airport for older people if they're having some sort of health distress or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
But a few months later, when he cracked his head on the ground, brought the ambulance.
Brought the whole
drove that right on the field.
The whole engine
and
78
seen that
from left field.
Since they tried to scoop up Y.A. Tittle in the championship game, and he wouldn't let him.
Tittle.
Remember that? Well, you don't remember it. We weren't. Yeah. I wasn't around. You weren't around.
I definitely wasn't around.
Seen videos of it.
1953?
63.
63. Oh.
63. No, he didn't get. But he. There's that when the Bears. I don't know. It was an interception. Something. The game.
Yeah.
The Giants turned the ball over, and that was going to be it. And I don't know if Doug Atkins or somebody took YA's head off. And there's, he's an old bald man, and he's on his knees, his helmet's knocked off, and he's bleeding, like he cut above his eyes. He's got blood running down his face.
What's up?
I used to have, I still might somewhere, I have an audio, the radio recording of that game.
Jack Brickhouse?
I don't think it was Jack. It was a national. It had to be. Well, I don't know if it was national. I don't think it was Jack.
I'm sure Brickhouse.
John Facenda. Or...
If Brickhouse wasn't doing the game, he was sitting close enough in the press box, trying to get picked up on the microphone by whoever the national guy was. Jack, shut up! What? Just Jack and Cup sitting around.
It's
it was quite interesting. It was an interesting time for media in Chicago. Irv Cupson doing Bear games.
Was he
It'd be like having Mark Giangreco and Janet Davies doing the Bears now. Actually, it would be better than having Joniak.
Oh man, I would love if Gene Greco did. If Gene Greco called me Doug Flutie once.
Have them smooch each other after every touchdown. That'd be pretty sweet.
All right, Janet. Jeez, how old are they now? They got to be in their 70s now.
Yeah, still half in the bag. It'd be great,
man.
Can't have him do baseball games though, because like was it Harry that said he kisses her on the strikes and she kisses him on the balls. there were this couple like snuggling. He kisses her on the strikes and she kisses him on the balls.
Oh man!
Oh shit! Oh my god! That's the greatest thing I've ever heard.
That's fantastic. Oh Jesus!
Yeah. I'm trying to keep it classy.
Holy shit! That's gonna take a minute. Oh man, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. I forgot we were live. We were on YouTube for a second.
Oh, well, the All-Star teams were announced over the weekend. And so we
have
to talk about Snubs.
Oh,
the Cubs got their two starting outfielders.
Yeah,
two of their outfielders starting the National League. I don't know why Happ didn't make it. He's a 3-time Gold Glover. Don't they know that? Don't they know that he's won 3 Gold Gloves in a row? Don't they want to win?
They should just make it on merit alone. Exactly.
Merit alone.
But the biggest snub in the National League, had to be Seiya Suzuki. Right? Yeah. 25 homers, 77 RBIs.
Yeah.
I'd argue Busch a little bit more, but I can see where you're coming from with Seiya. Just because, DH is a little more loaded.
Yeah, the Busch thing, I'm going to absolve the fans because he didn't really he does it weird ways, right? Like he gets super hot. He did it early in the year, and now he's been on an extended heater, but most of it happened like after the voting ended. It's his own damn fault.
Yeah, that's true.
But he certainly, and the player voting was over too, but they could have figured out how to get him on there. But I came up with a way to get Seiya on the team. Typically, as we get closer to the weekend, a few players are going to beg off, right? They're like, I don't want to go. Oh, my leg hurts, whatever. But Chris Sale is out. He broke his bird bones. He broke his ribs.
Yep.
Bird bones.
Shohei's a pitcher now, right? He's pitching.
Well, he is, yeah.
So slide Shohei into the pitcher slot for Sale, and Seiya can be the DH.
There's not a chance.
No, I know, but it would work.
It would. That'd be great. What they should do is they should just have John Birdie be the other pitcher. Wait, I don't know how that would.
Do you want the American League to score like 2 runs in an inning?
His appearance bothered me, not because strategically it was fine. Although, how about this for a vote of confidence for Jordan Wicks?
Yeah, God.
They had a bullpen game on a day that was actually an extra day rest for him, and he wasn't one of the guys that pitched out of the bullpen. He didn't pitch in the bullpen game.
Yeah.
But because they had that bullpen game coming up on Friday, Council's like, shit, we're going to use everybody tomorrow. So he brings Birdie, and that's fine. What I don't like, and I get, there's actually like a strategy to this, to throw, if you can throw below batting practice speed, it's really hard for big leaguers to hit you. If you throw batting practice speed, they're just gonna tune you up. They're gonna just be bashing balls out there. So you either have to legitimately pitch and try to get them out.
Yes.
Kind of like I think Kike tries to actually pitch.
Yes. Yeah.
Or you need to throw. But Birdie was doing this everything was a fucking eephus pitch. And it's it was very uncomfortable to watch.
It's like Henry Rowan Gardner in that
this is supposed to be fun. This sucks.
Yeah, well, and on top of that, like the umpire was just calling strikes that
after a
clearly
while,
weren't
after the
strikes.
first few, he's like,
Yeah.
"It's close enough."
Like, yeah.
Yeah, right. Because it
Come
was
on,
funny where
game's
the
over.
catcher
We got to
caught
get
it
out
because
of
there
here.
was such. Yeah. If I may, Seiya is clearly the biggest Cubs snub, but if I may make a case, Carson Kelly deserves to be an All-Star also.
Is he not? Oh no,
He's
No,
not.
That's right. He's not because
because the Colorado happens to have a pretty good catcher, and the
exactly
low
because of the
representative.
one All-Star per team rule. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But I don't know, like, why did they limit it to 32 players? Like, why not just have 40? Who cares?
Well, isn't Carson's been around long enough? Couldn't he have been the legend pick instead of Clayton Kershaw?
Right. Exactly.
Because Clayton's just an extra guy tacked onto the roster. He's not. He's
What-
the
Yeah.
33rd guy. He didn't
honestly-
actually take a spot.
And honestly, what has Clayton Kershaw done lately? I mean, he struck out Vinny Capra. Who hasn't struck out Vinny Capra?
He's been writing on Pride Night. He's been writing. He's been
that's
writing anti-gay, interpreted anti-gay biblical verses onto his hat.
Right.
That's what he's been doing.
Yeah.
It's a lot of super fun. What a guy.
That's like 80% of ball players, though. Whatever.
Yes. Oh yeah. It's. I mean, what was it? Jason Adam wouldn't wear the rainbow.
Yeah,
That's
former
why
Cub Jason
I
Adam.
still call it his don't say gay fastball. That's his big pitch. Don't say, you can't hit my don't say gay fastball.
Jeez.
I forgot I had something brilliant to say. Not about the.
Right.
Oh, I know what it was. It was. I think we talked about. I know I talked about. I think I talked about it with Dave, but maybe I talked about it with you guys. It was the. Kershaw's last game in St. Louis when on the video board before the game they did like a tribute to him, but the tribute was just him giving up the Matt Adams home run over and over and over again.
Yeah. Oh,
Did you know that they so after Pete forgot how many outs there were, they apparently right before the game started the next day they showed that 5 times in a row, as it was the most hilarious thing they'd ever seen.
Why?
They didn't score a run the rest of the series, so good for them. Congratulations.
Seems to be a trend with the Cardinals these days.
That's because they're fucking bad. That's why.
They're an awful franchise who play in an awful city and have awful fans.
Yep. Other than that, it's great.
Yeah.
Other than all their awfulness, they were terrific.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I don't know that was why Boog was talking to Jimmy. He's like, well, but Carson will make it, right? Don't they always have 3 catchers? So I looked it up, and it's pretty hit or miss. Some years, yes. Some years,
like
no.
50-50.
They've had
yeah.
4 before. The year Yachty got to be the
the legend.
Be the special DEI All-Star. Because that's what people were calling Kershaw. Congratulations, Clayton! You're the DEI All-Star. I hope you're enjoying.
I'm sure you love that. I'm sure you love that, Mr.
Awesome.
Traditional
The National League
Marriage
had
from
4.
Texas. Yeah.
How about a roster with 4 catchers on it for the All-Star game?
Well, there was
just
one.
sent Yachty down to the bullpen. We get some work in down there. You warm up the guys.
I think there was one year recently where like the Braves had 2 catchers in it, and it was. I think it was the same. Well, no, it was when William Contreras was still there, and it was when Wilson and William became like the first pair of brothers to make it in the same All-Star game too.
They were the first brothers to catch in the All-Star game? I mean...
Was it Roy Campanella in All-Star?
That's where it is. I was
Fergie made it
Let
plain.
you say it, not me. Yeah, so... I don't know. I mean, we'll see who gets hurt. I could see that. I could see them like, all right, fine. We'll cramp some more Cubs on this.
I bet you somebody will, because you don't know who's going to pitch next Sunday, right?
I feel like...
Is it this Sunday?
Yeah, if you pitch on...
Sunday, then you're not going.
Yeah, but they pretty much are going to replace them with pitchers.
Right.
So,
right.
Well, that would be Shota as of right now, though. It won't be Boyd who...
Well, there might be... I mean, Daniel Palencia's been good. There's a couple guys, a couple relievers.
No, Praz was saying Shota's going to pitch Sunday, so... Like,
I got
Boyd's going to pitch Friday, so he can pitch in it.
Yeah.
He'll be eligible to pitch in the All-Star game.
It'll be his, like, because it's always like whenever your bullpen day is, right, or like in between starts, like that works out pretty well sometimes.
Like they made it so that if you pitch on Sunday, you can't
Yeah, you're just out. Yeah, right.
Like they're not gonna put that on the manager to be like, well,
right.
Sure,
Right.
I won't use him, and then you end up using him.
As much as we might not want to see Matthew Boyd pitch in the All-Star game to kind of preserve him, it is his first All-Star game, and that would be something special for him.
It'll be fine.
What's the worst that could happen?
It'll be fine.
Hopefully,
but no, if you make
situation.
the All-Star team, if you make the All-Star game, you should get to play in it. I mean, you get hurt. He could get hurt doing anything. He could, I've heard of pitchers who got hurt. Like they went to Mike Shannon's restaurant and they drank a bunch and then they crashed into the back of a tow truck.
Yeah.
You can get hurt anywhere.
Yeah, that was a really bad injury.
He's still on the injured list. Or the bereavement list. Are you on the bereavement list if you're the one that's dead? We should ask the Cardinals. They got a long list.
God damn it. Oh my God. We just lost all our listeners.
We probably didn't have any anyway.
Whoa.
We lost all the St. Louis, all our Cardinal fans.
Yeah.
They don't want to listen.
I mean, thankfully, you can get hurt just being in a hotel room.
You can.
This is true.
Like just hanging out in a hotel room.
It's still so that maybe I briefly told the Joe Girardi All-Star story again in the thing when I was writing about the catchers.
Yeah.
It absolutely cracks me up that they as much as admitted that he made the All-Star game in 2000. He makes it because he doesn't get picked, but Mike Piazza gets hit in the head by Roger Clemens on the Sunday game and isn't going to play in the All-Star game. And so on Monday, they're frantically calling around to find another catcher for the National League. And Joe was the one who answered the phone. Out of all the guys they called, Joe Girardi's like, hello? Can you get to the airport, get to Atlanta? Yes. And he got to be an All-Star.
He was waiting by the phone patiently.
In the cars.
It was, I think it was his best year as a Cub, which isn't saying much, but it wasn't like I think in 01 he was pretty. I
remember like first half stats was pretty damn good.
I think he hit 270 that year for the whole season. Yeah, he had 278, 339, 375. So it's fine. It didn't look
for sure.
Oh, and it was 01 he was okay. It was 02 he was terrible.
Hey, you know what? He came through in a
was
great
02,
moment.
Was that when he had to make the
I was just going to say that
on the field?
He came through in a great moment in 02 of announcing the death of some anonymous Cardinal player without naming his name, and then having it be real awkward.
Do the Cardinals still hang Darryl Kyle's uniform in the dugout? Is it still up there? They did it in 04. They still had it up. It's like, guys.
Did they really?
Yeah.
No. I like when somebody gets hurt and they hang the uniform up. Like, hey, he's not dead.
Right. With the Brewers did that with Yelich, I think.
Yeah,
he,
right.
Had the foul ball off his kneecap.
Like, what the fuck?
Right. For what it's worth, right now in our YouTube comments, DK57 is hanging right now. Thank you to Mark for properly honoring Darryl Kyle there.
Oh yeah, I can actually see that.
Yeah. I noticed that too. All of a sudden, I saw something flashing. I'm like, wait, there's messages. Pretty cool. All right, hey guys.
One point I did want to make too on Carson Kelly's like All-Star case is that I think that it's not so much that he was all that great, but Cubs catchers collectively were really damn good in the first half. Like Cubs catchers are second among that position group in home runs in the National League. They're second in WRC plus for the National League. I think third in WAR maybe. So I mean,
I've got
an idea.
Go ahead.
Stack them up in the trench coat.
Yes. Do the Vincent Adult Man thing from.
Oh shit! Sorry, I didn't mean to step all over your. I didn't mean to step all over your joke. I'm sorry. I didn't know that's where you were going.
Great minds. I don't. What is Amaya hurt? Is what he probably needs to be the top, right? He probably shouldn't be the base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get him on top.
Oh, don't say that anymore. He should probably be the top.
Reese. You'd like to put Reese somewhere where his hands aren't free. I would think.
Yeah, well, at the bottom.
So he needs to be the bottom.
Yeah, bottom.
Yeah.
Or no, do you want to... Wait a minute. So with Reese, do we want to... Maybe we need to see his hands.
Wait.
Yeah,
No, you want him in the middle, because then, the neck of the bottom guy blocks out him accessing, his Johnson and everything. So there you go.
How great would it be? Now, how great would it be if Reese McGuire one of these years makes the All-Star game? You know how when they introduce the catcher, typically it's like in the bullpen warming up the pitcher is the starting catcher, Reese McGuire. What if they went in the parking lot warming up catcher Reese McGuire?
Well, you know what? Like when it's cold out and the football players put their hands in their pants sometimes, like on the
Or that
sidelines.
little fanny pack thing they have there, yeah.
Yeah, like whoa.
Right.
Wasn't that it was Bob Hayes, right? Bullet Bob Hayes in the ice bowl was running all of his routes with his hands jammed into his pants.
Yeah, it's like,
right. Bob, it's kind of obvious when it's a run play. You might want to at least pretend to take your hands out. What? It's fucking cold out here. Screw that.
Yeah. You play your way, I play mine.
But I think we could make a case for that. So the Cub catchers in the aggregate get to make.
Yeah, in the aggregate.
Get to make the All-Star.
Well, I mean, and look, like I am serious. Like Carson Kelly should.
Well, his numbers are really good. Their numbers are good for anybody, much less a catcher.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
His April was incredible. His May and June were not. He 2 homers and 5 RBIs total in May and June. But in the first 5 days of July, 2 homers and 5 RBIs.
Yeah.
he basically duplicated 2 months worth.
He basically had like the 03 Corey Patterson season for a catcher. Where like right now his numbers look pretty damn good.
So if he doesn't crash into the bag and blow out his knee because we need him. All right, I have a question about Carson Kelly. Doesn't he seem tall? Like, doesn't he look like a tall catcher? Maybe it's just me. I've always thought and I noticed that he was standing on the mound and Drew Pomerantz was like towering over him. And I'm like, God, I thought he was tall. He's 6'2". He's like a normal size. I, for some reason, thought he was like 6'4" or 5. He just looks tall. Does that make any sense?
Crazy. I don't know if it makes sense, Rob. It would be crazy if there was a catcher in baseball who was 6'4", 6'5".
He just has good posture, maybe.
How tall was Charles Johnson?
I don't think he was 6'4", 6'5".
6, and he was 6'8".
6'8".
He used to lay down. He used to lay down behind the home plate because if he squatted, he was still too high.
I'm trying to think now.
Catcher.
Wasn't there some catcher the Cubs had in like 2020 that couldn't squat? Was he like really tall?
Josh Fegley. Josh Fegley, who I'm sure is going to tell people he was the innovator for because now a lot of catchers catch on one knee because they're trying to get under the low pitch. He was doing it because he couldn't squat anymore. He's like, screw this.
Right.
There's a pandemic. I'm not squatting, and he would just like lean on his leg.
There you go.
Do you remember?
No excuse for him either. He's 5'10".
The ball would get by him, and he was like Engelberg. He's like, he barely got to turn around, like walk to the backstop to get the ball. Everybody's running around the thing. He pulls a candy bar out of his thing. My doctor says,
"Yeah."
What was it? Something about I'm just fat, so you complain all you want. It's not going to do any good.
Do you remember when Benito Santiago used to like do the splits and catch? Do you remember that? Was it Benito Santiago?
And, Tony Pena, too.
Tony Pena, yes. That's why really? I thought for a second in my head I thought it was Bo Diaz, but it was Tony Pena.
He used to really get low.
Yeah. That was always weird.
Jody Davis.
Jody Davis used to do that?
Jody was pretty limber, man. He basically was like sitting down, like just you throw it somewhere between here and here. Because I'm not moving.
Now you got images going on in my head of like what would it have been like if Carson Kelly was around in the 50s and he was catching for that one at bat for Eddie Goodell. Like, could he even get that low?
Just do you remember seeing Eddie in the top of his like shin guard. That's all that's in the picture. It's this.
Right.
Just sort of the funny thing is like in those pictures of Eddie Goodell, like the catcher is not really squatting. He's like almost like standing up, like bent knees.
Yeah.
No, was he?
I think
I remember like in the old days, like some of the catchers in the old days, like I remember seeing pictures, like they never really squatted, or maybe they did, and like it almost seemed like they were like standing and sort of being bent at the knees, not all the way down in a squat. Like if you look at, I don't know, maybe Bill Dickey or something. Gotta find a.
Oh, we're just going to try some here since we're actually.
No, there he is squatting. Bill, do you see a picture of Bill Dickey in that Benito Santiago stance? Or Tony Pena? I got to credit Tony Pena with it.
Oh, look at this.
There we go.
There you go. Okay. All right.
He's on. Look how little that son of a bitch is. Jesus.
Hey.
You're still taller than him, Oleg. Just barely.
That's true.
Yeah.
But...
you got him by a good 3 or 4 inches.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
With friends like you. That was pretty cool. How if we're because we're live on YouTube, you can do that. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. All of a sudden, it's completely worth it.
Yeah. Just for that. Yeah, I'm really full of shit. I can't find any pictures of anything.
Our close personal friend, Dave Kaplan, was he got out of the cryo tank. Looked like he went outside.
Yes.
Shot a little video where he's been calling around. All sorts, not media types. He wanted to point out. I'm not just talking to media guys. I'm talking to actual baseball sources. I've been calling peanut vendors at different minor league parks. I know a guy who handles the parking at Arrowhead Stadium, which is actually right across the parking lot from where the Royals play. So he's good. Anyway, he was talking about all of his contacts, and he had his Cubs wish list.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was shooting a little low. His so Seth Lugo, who is having a nice year for the Royals.
Well, and he also finished second in the Cy Young voting last year.
Okay, but he's my only concern. Like that'd be fine. Go get him, Jed. My concern with Lugo is when you trade for a pitcher who has a player option for the next year.
Yeah.
If he gets hurt or he sucks for you, you've got him for next year too, and you might not want him.
Okay.
Adrian Hauser.
Yeah.
Praz is a fan. Praz would immediately demanded Adrian Hauser on the Cubs.
I don't know why this is.
He has a winning record for the White Sox, which is amazing.
Yeah,
I didn't think anybody did. And he has a 188 ERA. We'll ignore the 6 ERA he had last year, but it's this year. It's not last year.
Okay, to that point, I did bring this up on the other podcast I do, Bums in the Bleachers, Chicago Sports Bums, that it does confuse me, not confuse me, but it does fascinate me a little bit that the White Sox have all these like former Brewers pitchers while they're still in the same town as the Cubs. And I wonder if they did it to try to like entice Craig a little bit to say like, hey, Adrian Hauser worked for you in Milwaukee, Bryce Wilson worked for you in Milwaukee, would you be interested?
Do you think or maybe it was this, maybe those Brewer pitchers rented places in Chicago. I'm like, hey, Craig, I'm in town. I want to pitch for the Cubs. And Craig's like, fuck that. You go play for I had enough of you. You go play for the White Sox. No.
I getting back on track. I do like. I really do like the idea of Seth Lugo, though. I couldn't care less about his option next year. If he picks it up, fine. Who gives a shit? If he's gone, he's gone. Like it's about here and now. And I love the idea of Seth Lugo on the Cubs.
From what I've seen on Baseball Savant, Seth Lugo's curveball is not the same as it was in previous years. That does.
Seth Lugo is the kind of pitcher. Yeah. So I do like the idea of Mitch Keller, although I'm not sure that Keller is all that better than Lugo. I actually don't think he's better than Lugo at all.
No, he's younger.
He is younger.
Here's the other thing, and I thought this, and of course Frank pointed out the one guy who writes on the comments on the newsletter.
Yeah.
Shout out Fork.
One of the reasons to shoot for if you can, for younger pitchers you're going to add on is that there isn't anything coming. Like,
yes, all right.
Right.
Maybe the great Jackson Wiggins, who spells his name with an X, which worries me, just because he can't spell. There are no spelling bees in Major League Baseball. It's fine. He can spell however he wants.
Mm-hmm.
That really you'd be getting a trade for now, but you also, it's not like you don't need these guys.
Correct.
For the next few years.
I agree, but here's my thing. The rotation next year, the rotation from this year is pretty much coming back next year. Plus, you hope Steele is. I mean, it's a big hope, but you hope Steele is. I don't give a shit about next year right now as we stand. Like, go get what you have to get in order to make a run. Like, just do it. and then that means Seth Lugo, and you take the chance on him picking up some $16 or $20 million option next year, who gives a shit? The Cubs can afford it. Just go get the best pitcher you can get, and I think Seth Lugo is probably there.
I don't want to mortgage the future. I mean, what if they trade one? What if they trade one of those 10 future Hall of Famers they have in the minors?
Yeah, I mean, they already traded one future Hall of Famer to get Tucker,
and another two future Hall of Famers to get Busch in the great Zaire.
Yeah,
Open
yes, there you
Jackson
go.
Ferris,
Yes.
So, that nobody will ever shut up about on Twitter.
It looked well. If you like Zaire Hope, the Dodgers are very likely to use him to get something this year.
Yeah.
So you can get him back if you wanted him.
There we go.
Right. What do the Dodgers need?
Well, they need pitching because it's all on their injured list. But they knew that when they got him.
Right.
I mean, that was kind of, I think, the point of the Dodgers. They wanted the best quality 120 innings per starter that they could get. Now it'll be a little bit fewer than 120 innings per starter. But Snell, if he gives them 80 innings in the second half, and if Glasnow gives them 80 more innings in the second half, that's ace. That's 168 innings of ace material.
Yeah, if those if their most important guys are healthy in the second half and in the playoffs, they're in good shape.
Yeah. But
there's no certainty for that.
No, of course.
Is what gives like the Phillies and the Cubs hope that
That's I think that.
Even when one of those guys comes back, you've got a puncher's chance at him in the playoffs, which is what you want for sure. So.
And I think that's the point that so I think that's the point of the dot. Like if you're a big market team, injuries just happen. Injuries are going to happen, so you cover for it by just simply signing 8 awesome pitchers. And you just get what you can out of them on a per inning basis. Sure. They're going to be elite, and then you go.
So, it's worked out. It's worked out for the Cubs. They knew they would need awesome pitchers, so that's why they got Colin Ray and Chris Flexen.
Yeah,
Drew Pomeranz.
I mean, look again.
The Flexen thing. The amazing thing about him with me is every time he pitches it, when you just watch him pitch, you think he should be getting just completely lit up.
Yep.
But he just gets everybody out. It's amazing. I don't know how long it's going to last, but it's gotten them a long way so far. They've bought a lot of innings for them already this year.
This is a guy. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just
the only pitchers who I don't have that feeling about are Keller and Palencia. Like everybody else on the Cubs pitches to contact, and that's just how it goes. And and again, this is what I'm saying before. They have this perfect defense or the perfect pitching staff for the defense that they've assembled, and that takes work. That's pretty good. That's pretty good work.
I'm trying to think who it was. I think it was Cal Raleigh. Although, did the Cubs ever get him out in that series? Somebody good. Flexen struck him out on like a 71 mile an hour curveball at the top of the zone. It was the balls to throw that thing.
Yeah.
And the batter had no chance. He's like swinging him, he's screwing himself into the batter's box. Like, what the fuck was that? And Flexen's like, you didn't hit it.
And then I know that you make fun of Tom Honaby or whoever is responsible for this stuff, but I mean, again, like the results are the results, right? Like Brad Keller's good, Flexen is good, Pomeranz is back. I mean, Pomeranz was always good; he just wasn't healthy. But you're taking these chances, these low risk chances on these guys. I guess it's pretty high risk if that's all you do. But you take these low risk chances on these guys, and they work out. And there's a little bit of luck that goes into all of them working out. Well, almost all of them.
I mean,
it's pretty good stuff. Like it's good work.
Like the Mariners even acknowledged Pomeranz was pitching well at Tacoma.
Yeah.
But they have enough depth, and their big concern with him was just this dude hasn't pitched in 4 years. That elbow could snap at any moment, so that's why they traded him. But it's not like they knew when they traded him that if he stayed healthy, he'd be useful. Yeah. Like they knew they were trading the Cubs a useful piece.
And that's kind of what I think that's sort of your point about. Well, I don't know if it was your point, but about the Dodgers, right? You just know that these guys are going to get hurt, so you just rack up a bunch of them. And then you go, and that's kind of what the Cubs did. And you made this point on a podcast a couple weeks ago. You don't know what you get out of Horton and Boyd, right? So Horton you got to replace at some point because you just can't. It's malpractice to pitch over 100 innings this year.
With Horton, that feels like the kind of guy you could just call up like Kenta Maeda from Iowa and
Sure.
Finish out those innings if you really have to. With him.
Yeah, I'd
But
like
you
to
want somebody
see.
good.
I wonder if there has to be some kind of plan for Kate to like not shut him down, just kind of slow him down.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
He goes to the bullpen for a while, and he's the long guy where they can really
Yeah.
manage his innings,
Right.
and then they get to September, and then they can start to go again. But you don't,
Yes.
they don't send it. To me, it's a waste of time. Send him to Iowa.
I agree.
Although you can, but
I agree.
you don't have enough good arms to just be like, okay,
Exactly.
we're just going to park him in Iowa. Where you
Well,
can manage his innings in Chicago,
and especially
and then
now
have
that,
him.
now
have
that
him
Tyone is on the IL, like you're kind of short in the rotation anyway.
I mean,
so you kind of need him.
Right. Well, you need to make up the innings, right? We have left probably about 700 innings for the rest of the year, right? You have what 72 games left, whatever, right? About 650, 680
You
innings,
hit it
whatever
right
you
on
have
the
left.
dot. Yeah, they played 90 games, 72. Good
Yeah.
math, Oleg.
Okay. Well, I did. I was looking at it earlier when I said, when we looked at games played. But the point being is that you got to make up those innings somehow. It doesn't really matter how you do it, but you need quality innings. And so if it's not going to be Horton, you got to replace them with somebody. And I don't know if it's going to be Maeda or you hope you go out and trade for 2 starters, but you just sort of got to make up those innings and still have something left for the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Cap did it. I did it. It's always like when you're trying to figure out who they're going to trade for, or you find 2 like guys you would plug in the rotation and feel good about it. Reality is with this many teams looking for pitching, you're probably going to get one guy that you're comfortable with, and another guy you're just going to be like, this guy's got to eat innings. I mean,
yeah.
Right.
And
we need to get the outs. We have a lead. We can score runs. We don't need, but we've got to somebody's got to help us get to the finish line. And I have a feeling you're going to get one pitcher you think you want to pitch in the playoffs, and one he's just in there to try to push you into that.
Yeah. And part of the hope is the last 100 innings that you have to cover of the year, you don't really have to worry about all that much because you've already clinched things, right? So hopefully the last couple of weeks, I don't know if it's going to be the last couple of weeks, maybe even the last week of the season, you don't really have to cover those innings. So you might be okay there. It's, 80 innings or whatever it is. And then and so you got 600 innings you got to do something with, and that's that you could do it. You could do it.
What's Dan Herron up to these days? How old Steve Traxel? Do we bring Traxel back for a third time?
Yeah.
John Lieber.
What about Anthony Young? Where's Anthony Young?
They should. There should be you have to have in September. Your rosters expand. You can bring up other players, but you have to balance it out with a legacy player. You have to go get somebody.
Hey, you know what? Angels probably going to be sellers. Kyle Hendricks, come back home.
Kyle Hendricks. What kind of year? I haven't looked at his numbers. Is he having a good year?
Up and down, a little bit better than last year, we'll say. I want to say.
God, I got to tell you, man. I guess I never quite realized that the Royals were having this bad of a year. I'm just excited. I'm excited at the prospect of getting Seth Lugo. I know.
For sure.
But
Kyle is 5-6, 4.68 ERA, 94 hits and 92 innings, 62 strikeouts, 23 walks.
That's Kyle.
And he's basically having
a later career Kyle Hendricks good year.
His same 6 strikeouts per inning this year and last year. Walks are down a little bit. Home runs are up just a tick. Hits are down a little bit. So basically,
I know that he's from South California, right? He's from down there, so it'd be tough to ask him to move back to Chicago. But man, fuck it, got to get some innings. Got to get some innings.
I think if you called, he'd come back. I don't think he'd be crushed if the Angels said we're trading you back to the Cubs for the last 2 months of the season. I don't think he'd have a problem with
that. I do, to your point, I do hope that they empire, but you need innings.
For sure.
But what? At that point,
they didn't give his number away, did they? They some awkward conversation.
I don't even know.
I don't think anybody's going 28. The guys, they got to save it so they can retire it for Cal Daniels and Kyle together. Have that emotional joint retirement. That'll be fun.
Well, you brought up Seth Lugo. There's another name on the Royals that often when Dave Brown is on this podcast, this name gets brought up. But the guy I'd really like is Chris Bubich. He's younger. He has pretty similar numbers to Lugo, and
this year.
Yes, this year so far. I want to say last year he was like kind of used more like I don't know, like an in-between role, like a kind of Mike Montgomery-ish role where he wasn't starting
sure.
or relieving, but like
Sure.
he was kind of bouncing back between. But now
Sure.
he's exclusively starting, and I want to say he's like got a really good ground ball rate, got a really good strikeout rate. He'd be under control for another 2 years beyond this one, and I mean, you know, might need to fill another spot in the rotation if Steele is out for extended period of time next year. So yeah.
So there's two things I like what you're thinking, but there's two things about that I would say. One is that he doesn't have the same track record that Lugo does. This is now Lugo's probably third, pretty. True. I don't know if you could call it excellent, but a really like all-star caliber year, right? He was really good with the Padres. Last year with the Royals, he was second in the Cy Young, and now this year's having another pretty good year. He was kind of off a little bit at the beginning of the year. This is really Bubic's first really good year. And to your point, maybe he's never gotten a shot before, but he's got a little bit of that. If I remember right, he was I don't know if he was like a top pick, but he was I think a first or second round pick or something. Like he came with a pedigree. I could be wrong about that. Double check my my talking for my ass. But
if the Cubs trade for Bubic, then I want them to also trade for. So my two favorite pitchers in the playoffs last year were Chris Bubic and Jose Butto. So they got to call the Mets and get. I want Bubic and Butto.
Yeah, okay. You know what would be amazing is if at some point they get Javier Assad back. He makes a start. Javier Assad and Jose Butto comes in to relieve for him. That'd be great.
Chris Bubic.
And then Bubic to close it out. Yeah.
Oh God, I'm dying to. Is there anybody with Chest in their name? Matt Chesterton. Chester Lemon. Is that his
Chet Lemon.
That's Chet Lemon's first.
Let's get. Didn't who's the love lady that just changed his first? He officially changed his first name.
He finally went to Dickie.
Too. Yes.
Did he really?
There we go. Get all the weird name guys.
Right? That was holy cow.
So if the Cubs traded for Chet Lemon, it would be. I think I'd question it because he died in May. So that could be rough.
That could be rough.
His price went way down though when he died.
Asking
price, get him for a song from the Tigers still. They probably have his rights.
Do you think that do you think that Jerry's still paying him?
So Steve Phillips on July 1st on MLB Network because he was the GM when they basically redid Bobby Bonilla's contract.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, the famous deferred money where Bobby Bo is still getting paid every July 1st gets a check from the Mets. So the story was that the Mets the Wilpons owned the Mets obviously at the time. Mm-hmm. And they were talking to Steve about trying to free up they were talking about ways he could free up some payroll for whatever season they were in. And they came to him with this genius idea. They're like, well, we've got the guy we invest our money with, he gets an incredible return on stuff. Yeah. And so what about, could we approach Bobby and we could take they took like $10 million and basically said they were going to invest it. And then and so Bobby ends up getting paid for like, what is it? Like $2 million a year for like 16 years. It's like 30, he gets like $32 million out of it. Yeah. And of course the guy they were investing with was Bernie Madoff.
Yeah.
Oh God, of course.
And as Steve said, hey, they're pretty much paid real. They're basically paying like real market money every year for that money. Yeah. Because obviously it didn't happen.
It didn't work out. But the interesting thing about that also is that they're also paying like that. It's also based on an interest rate that Bob Bonilla gets, right? So it was like they were trying to play that margin game. Yeah. Where they would make slightly more on the money than Bonilla would in order for him to take this as a deferred. Like, well, we'll pay you interest also. So on top of not only are they paying the market rates, but also probably paying above market rates because these theoretically are paying this interest rate to him.
Whoops.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man.
Oh well. Who among us?
Hey.
Yeah,
hasn't lost money in a Ponzi scheme.
It probably turned out to be a good thing for the Mets. That may have, led to them selling to Steve Cohen at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no doubt that the Madoff thing, because that was just part of it. I mean, the Wilpons had so much of their personal fortune wrapped up with him, and they lost it. And it is why they eventually had to sell the Mets. They needed cash.
Mm.
And so I'm sorry, Bear fans. The McCaskey family has not been investing their money with Bernie Madoff. So
you could have let people just kind of think that for a little while.
The Ricketts.
Yeah.
You would have thought they would have their, Warren Buffett basically grew up around he didn't grow up, he's 1,000 years old, but they grew up kind of around the corner from him,
right.
Omaha.
What the hell?
Thought that
Buffett.
I have a feeling Warren hates Joe Ricketts. I just have a hunch.
You're probably right on that.
No,
not a lot of love there.
God. So I know that I've been super optimistic, but I will say this: the one piece of pessimism that I have about future years is that I think that the Rickettses are going to learn the wrong lesson from this year. Like, hey, look, our payroll is down and we're awesome. Why do we need to spend more?
Well, we know they learned, because Tom says it. They learned the wrong lesson from the Diamondbacks, beating them out 2 years ago.
Yeah,
83 wins, they went to the World Series.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff. There's the whole, what do we need to pay Kyle Tucker for? We got a superstar. Pete.
Yeah.
Don't need to do that. It's like, all right, yank Tucker out of this lineup, see what happens to this lineup.
Right.
I will
It's not a coincidence that it's all the shit fell together. It was this thing I've been, big brains like me had been saying for a long time. Jed built complementary pieces without a star to be the fulcrum, and now he got one, and all of a sudden the offense goes boom.
Yeah.
Right. It's not a coincidence.
Well,
I won't go back to 2 years ago because Busch has developed and Pete's developed, but you take Tucker out and you put league average right fielder in, and all of a sudden you're like, gee, how come we don't score runs like we did last year? Well, that's going to be why.
And I don't necessarily believe in the idea of protection in the batting order, right? But the idea that also Seiya is in that lineup between Crow, Armstrong, and Tucker is also helping him a lot. So, I mean, taking Tucker out of that lineup just it squishes the lineup down.
Yeah.
Right. Having Tucker in there extends the lineup. You're just you're a good team.
You're right. Yeah, that's the biggest thing he does. It just makes and you're not just lengthening it with another. You're lengthening it with a great hitter. You've got him there.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a way you can look it up. Like, how many times has Seiya driven him in? It's a lot.
Yeah, I bet.
So part of the reason why he's got 77 RBIs is that he doesn't, he's got somebody on all the time, and that helps drive those guys in.
It's not a leadoff hitter is only getting on base 33% of the time.
Yeah. And then, Tucker, just his simple, consistency. Like, he hasn't gone more than 2 games without a hit all year.
Good. He's just so good.
Funny enough, Seiya Suzuki has only driven in Kyle Tucker one time. It does give the split on it on the game logs on Baseball Reference.
Right, well, ignore that. Once?
Yeah. Only once.
What? Wait, what are you talking about? There's no way that's true. What?
No. Most okay, never mind. I was looking in the wrong column. Most driven in by Kyle Tucker was once. Most driven in, I'm looking right now. Kyle Tucker, it would be Seiya driving in himself 25 times, Ian Happ 15 times, and then Kyle Tucker 14 times. So there you go. Yes.
He's driven in Kyle Tucker 14 times. And that even seems really low.
Does kind of seem low, actually.
Yeah. I mean, also, how many, I don't know. I'll go down a rabbit hole by myself. But I mean, I wonder how many solo home runs does Seiya have? Or how many, I don't know. I guess there's a bunch of ways to slice and dice this. But yeah, bottom line is Kyle Tucker makes this lineup good.
Right.
I know, that's very, I'm going out on a limb.
I think the biggest shock on this whole list is that this should have gotten Seiya in the All-Star game. Seiya drove in Nicky Lopez twice.
Oh.
That's the most astounding feat of the first half.
What's even more astounding is he did it on the same at-bat.
It probably was, yeah.
Oh, it is.
Somebody asked me, somebody's like, you probably hope Nicky Lopez doesn't get called up to the Yankees because because you like to show that chart where he only has one hit. I'm not worried about it. Even if the Yankees call him up, I have a feeling that his spray chart is still going to have one hit on it.
Yeah.
It's fine. Not worried.
Wait, Nicky Lopez only had one hit with the Cubs. I mean, he must have had a walk or an error. How did we see on base twice? That's the
Well, you can just put him on base. You could just pinch run him and say,
yeah, that's true. Right.
I like too
Right,
that
that's
hit
a good
didn't
point.
leave the infield, so there's just this little dot right at the second baseman.
Yeah.
That's funny. I do like that's man. That still seems low. He's driven himself into. Oh yeah, because he's got 25 home runs, but it just seems low for Tucker. 14 times. That's it.
Well, he bats in front of Tucker when left-handers pitch, right? Say hit second against lefties, and then Tucker hits second against righties.
Is that? I don't think it's true. Is it?
Yeah, they flip them.
Is that right? Back to Fangraphs we go.
Oh, there's
Fangraphs
been
is
lots
really
of threes, but he's got some twos in there too. Two.
Right.
Two.
Good. Seiya?
Maybe
All
he's
right.
not doing it. Maybe
And-
Craig's not doing it anymore. Early in the
Well, I
year,
mean-
that's what he did. They flipped
Yeah.
Okay.
2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 2, 3, 2. But yeah, lately it's been all three.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah,
He
he's
hasn't hit
did you
second
see,
now. Been a long time.
by the
Since,
way,
June 4th. So never mind.
did you notice that Pete Crow Armstrong and Michael Busch are now batting back to back?
Sometimes.
In your face, Dolan.
Well, they're never going to put three straight lefties together like that. I think that was what was feared the most.
I was playing MLB The Show, and
Yeah.
I was pitching because even though I'm old, I still put myself in the game sometimes. I was pitching against the Diamondbacks. And fucking Torey Lovullo, I've handled him without a problem. But 9 left-handed batters.
Oh,
Of course.
what a jerk.
Because I
What
just
about-
noticed, as I'm pitching, I'm like,
Yeah.
this
I
isn't,
think-
it's no fun to throw my curveball against all lefties. I want to,
Right.
aim it at somebody's head and have it drop in.
So on our
It was a
Slack
legit
channel-
lineup. The reason he
Yeah.
didn't have Eugenio Suarez is I had traded for him.
Oh,
I had
nice.
traded Ian Happ for him.
Oh,
I don't
well,
worry.
nice.
I don't worry
there you
about
go.
no trade clauses.
yeah. Heck that.
I bought him out and sent him off to the Diamondbacks.
Heck that. Fuck that. Today we were on the Slack channel that both of you are invited to, but you never.
I have it up
never
all the
hop on
time.
to.
It's up right now.
Do you really?
What, did you email it to me, or I don't know?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I did.
I gotta check.
That's
this.
all right.
Okay.
That's okay. I get it. Are you really in it right now?
Yeah.
So shit, I lost my train of thought. Oh,
Something
so we're
about
talking
your
about left-handed. We'll talk about left-handed hitters, and our friend from across the pond, Tonker, was talking. He was shocked at the Nationals and how much better they are, or how much better they've been compared to from left-handed hitters. Like they've got a bunch of RBIs. So I'm like, that is really odd. And then I looked it up. 7 of their 9 regulars are either switch hitters or lefties. The top 4 hitters, Abrams, Wood, Lowe, and Luis Garcia, all hit lefty, and Josh Bell is a switch hitter. Like that seems pretty remarkable.
I'm gonna look
Pretty good,
Wood
yeah.
up real quick because I think he hits the ball to right field a lot, which I think is why he handles lefties pretty well. Yeah, his homers. Jesus, his spray chart is basically a rainbow. His home runs are a rainbow. He just hits them every-
Who's?
James Wood.
Oh yeah, that guy's. Oh my God, he's incredible. He's incredible.
You guys mind if I
The
hop
dude's
off for just a
huge.
second? I just gotta blow my nose real quick.
Okay.
No, do it for the crowd. Do it for the audience.
Yeah,
I'd
I
love
actually
it.
have to.
Hey, is there like a tip thing from 10 for $5? Praz will blow his nose.
Is this we're turning into an OnlyFans?
There's a thing on YouTube. It's like super something. People can pay to ask questions. Yeah, let's do
Oh
that.
God, we should do that. You can ask me any question you want that I'll answer for $1,000.
Yep.
And I'll answer it truthfully. I have to give my dog her medicine.
All right. See, folks, this is the stuff that, although they leave it in, I don't want to edit out of the audio one.
Yeah.
You feeding the dog, Praz blowing his nose.
The one time when I forgot that my mic was on, it sounded like I was making a cappuccino.
Did you guys hear me all the way from my bathroom?
No.
No.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Oh.
Yeah, this is not the Naked Gun. You weren't in there whizzing with your lapel mic on.
Do you ever watch any British comedies like BBC One, or I don't know, it's BBC Four, whatever?
Seen
Like
a few episodes of like
Cats?
the British Office, but like other than that,
No. Like so Greg Davies, right? He's this huge guy. He's a comedian in
He's the Taskmaster. That's how people
yeah,
know
yes,
him.
yeah, exactly. Like anyway, so he tells the story when he was a teacher and he would teach special ed, and he was hung over. Like
You're watching
story.
Graham Norton. Is that what you're watching?
Yes, yeah, he told it on Graham Norton. Yeah. It's an amazing story, and you really like everybody go look up. I mean,
Like I have I get BritBox because I watch a bunch of like the British like crime dramas. Like Unforgotten is like one of the greatest shows I've ever seen, and there's a bunch. And there's a couple of his sitcoms, right? Like The Cleaner. And then there's the one where he is whatever it's called. The one where he is a teacher. I mean, he was a teacher in real life before he became a comedian. And there is a sitcom that I haven't seen where he's a teacher.
Yes.
nice.
And he's enormous.
Yeah, he's like
6'8".
Yeah, he's huge.
Which is why on Taskmaster, when he always introduces little Alex Horn is 6'2". It's like the Carson Kelly thing to me. It's the opposite. I thought he was small, but it's because he sits next to a giant. Plus, they put him in a tiny little chair on the Taskmaster set to make it look even smaller. But he's an above average Brit, 6'2". Terrible teeth though, so he fits it.
Yeah. Well, he's British. The funnest, one of the most fun things is watching Jimmy Carr host Cats Does Countdown. Apparently, there's an actual show called The Countdown that a bunch of old people watch. It's on during the day, and they do a parody of it.
Yeah, Countdown is it's one of the it might have been the first show ever on like Channel 4, so it's been around forever.
Wow. Okay.
And it is super hard. My wife actually we watch 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown because she tries to do the math where they So there's word puzzles, and there's this. They get a number and they have to like somehow get from one to the other, and so she tries to do it.
You get 7 numbers, and you pick whether you want a large number or a small number, and then you have to figure out how to get with these numbers into like addition and multiplication. And, there's hilarious things.
And they have like 2 regular panelists. The guy who was the best at it died a few years ago.
Sean Locke. Sean Locke. Yeah,
Sean Locke.
Sean, yeah.
But the other stuff, if you ever watch Real Countdown, which you can, like the lady at Dictionary Corner is there. I mean, she does both shows, and so does the math girl, which is funny. They have a much different host, Jimmy Carr.
Yeah.
But so what 8 out of 10 Cats is like a kind of a sketch show.
Yeah.
And then Countdown was this super serious, like, puzzle game show, and they just mash the two together. And it is really entertaining. It's hilarious. It's really good.
Sean Locke is one of the funniest people to ever live. That guy was great.
There's also another good show called is it called Would I Lie to You? It's a panel show where they have like they have these two one of the things they do, they have 2 permanent panelists who are always on because then they get good at the game, and they're and then they have a couple of others, and then they have then they'll bring like regular people on, and somebody tells a story, and you have to decide whether or not it's true or not. And it is funny because the best thing is some of the most ridiculous ones are true. You're sure they're making it up, and it's not. And then they have to explain what, and that's a good show too.
So this is how I discovered one of my favorite comedians, this guy named James Acaster. If you've ever, there's a couple of his specials on Netflix. I couldn't recommend it. There's one where there's a 4-part thing that he does called, I forget what it's called. But anyway, it's like 4 comedy specials, and they kind of go hand in hand. One of the most hilarious things that you'll notice is that he wear like the background, the curtain, and he'll wear the shirt that's the same color as the curtain. It's hilarious. But he's just so funny, and he's on that show, and he brings out this kid who's apparently a son of a good friend of his, because he's kind of a younger guy. He's got to be in his mid-30s by now, but he's kind of a young guy. And he tells the story about how they had this whole like prank war with James Acaster about cabbages. And it's one of the most hilarious things. Look that up also. Like it's so funny and it's so well done. And James Acaster just plays into it, and he like you can't tell whether it's true or not. And it's one of the greatest like little stories. It's just this kid, like this, I don't know, 12, 13-year-old kid maybe. It's awesome. It's good stuff. And James Acaster on Cats Does Countdown is, oh man.
He comes on when he's in America, he does Late Night with Seth Meyers. And he's very good on that because him and Seth have a good rapport, and he will tell these, he'll be like, Seth, you won't mind me telling, and he'll say these horrible things about Seth as though he's just like the two guys, like, you won't mind me telling this, like, I don't know about this.
Yeah, James Acaster, he's great.
I'm trying to see what he was on season 7 of Taskmaster, it looks like. So if
he probably been on a couple. I think not. Like I only watch.
Yeah, they don't bring people. They haven't yet brought anybody back, except they did after like the first 5 seasons. They did like a Tournament of Champions. They brought the first 5 champions back.
Okay.
He looks like he was on season 7, and it's really good. He was great on that show. So if you never watched Taskmaster, you can just go to YouTube, where you're probably already there right now watching us. It's just right there for you.
Yeah, not yet.
Don't click away
at the end of this podcast. But
hang on, yeah. We only have another 3 hours to go. We're good here.
Yeah.
We're gonna just we're live podcasting the trade deadline. We just started way too early.
Right. Exactly. This is our
how have they still not scored? Shota gave up 2 in the first, and it's in the 8th, and it's still 2-0.
Yeah.
They did show, I looked up, and I don't think they did a full-blown tribute video, but they showed like Caleb Thielbar waving to Twins fans from the dugout. I just thought it would be so funny because obviously this is where he pitched his whole, like, he never pitched anywhere but Minnesota. Like he pitched for the Twins, and then he pitched for like the St. Paul Saints when he was trying to get back to the Twins.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
But I think it would be funny if they did like a full-blown tribute video for the lefty specialist.
Speaking of the St. Paul Saints, did you guys happen to see? So the Iowa Cubs are currently playing the St. Paul Saints, and Luke Little put like on his Instagram story like the picture from like his hotel room in St. Paul, and there were a bunch of people on Twitter speculating like, did Luke Little get called up? No, it's just. They're in the same area too.
Yeah, you know who saw that? Craig Counsell saw it and goes, "Fuck that guy! No, we're not bringing him back."
Right.
I know. I'm probably making too much of this, but it left a real impression on me how pissed Craig was after that game in San Diego when Little walked like the ass end of the Padres lineup with Hayward and fucking who was the old White Sox? Gavin Sheets.
Oh, yeah.
He went off, and Craig doesn't go off on guys.
Yeah.
And Luke hasn't been back since. And there have been opportunities for them to bring him back. And so when he's in the Royal bullpen as part of the Seth Lugo trade, you'll know why he's been shipped off. Craig seems hard to piss off, but I think once you do, you're probably screwed. Seems like one of those guys. Like you give me a lot of rope, and as soon as you run out of rope, it's like, well, fuck you, we're done.
Or maybe they're leaving him down there so they don't expose him, so they can trade him for Seth Lugo.
That's what you said. When you next see him in the Royal bullpen, that you're gonna know why.
Is that what you said?
Well, all right.
I just pulled the prize.
We don't have to worry about it anymore. It's not 2-0 anymore. So
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Porter Hodge still getting some work in. Looks like.
Yeah. Well.
Oh well.
Yeah. Watch them score exactly 3 runs in the top of the 9th here.
Yeah, now they will. Now they're freed up to do it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we have exhausted the audience. And if not ourselves.
We've exhausted the audience.
Yeah.
We have put the audience to sleep.
But
our talk
you know how we had humor. So you always you got to see what the intro actually looks like.
Yeah.
Many people's highlights of the podcast is the end of the podcast.
Okay.
So if there's nothing else, I think we're ready.
Okay.
So here's let me preface this by saying
You've never made it to the end of the podcast?
Not ours. I've never made it to the beginning of ours of our
Oh,
podcast.
yeah, you don't have to listen to your
I
own
listen to
podcast.
all of your others. Yeah, I don't listen to my own. But you have different. Do you have different audio to start ours than you do the rest?
It all
Because
starts
remember
the
this
same.
crap you use.
It all starts the
What is
same way, but there are different clips for different.
Right.
Because remember this crap starts with. I thought it was go back to Rocco, but it's some. Oh, it's some other
Oh
R.E.M.
no,
song. You said-
that was Harbor Coat by R.E.M.
Yeah, Rocco,
No,
yeah.
I had to change the intro music for everybody because
Oh,
I didn't own the rights to it, and YouTube
Okay.
and Spotify, neither one of them liked that.
oh,
So I got away with it. I told them that it was
Yeah.
like I used it for tribute use or whatever. They didn't take the pods down, but they made it very
Okay.
clear to me that they would like it if I used royalty-free music. So that's
Oh, I
so
gotcha.
that new
Okay,
song you heard at the
okay.
beginning is the same, but the end is
Okay.
different for the podcast.
Yeah, because I listened to the others. I don't really remember. I didn't remember. Okay. Anyway,
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
thanks, all.
Many of us have herpes.
Post-game show is brought to you by
Oh, we're gonna get this. Nice.
Christ, I can't find it. The hell with it.
It's fitting. It's got to be done with one of the best games of all time. Just unbelievable. I mean, got to congratulate the Dolan family.
Thank you. Sean, my podcast co-host Andy, you were his favorite player growing up.
Oh, thank you so much.
Awesome.
That's a very epic